Oh no, folks. It turns out that yesterday's blockbuster story about 40 babies being beheaded in Israel by Hamas, it may be falling apart. Maybe just a little. It might be 2023's ripping babies from incubators and throwing them out the window. In fact, I thought I was remembering it in like a cartoonish way, and that they were just like unplugging the babies from the incubators. No, the actual claim was they were being stabbed with bayonets, okay, skewered, and then taking the baby on the bayonet and then throwing them out the window. So it was actually worse than even I remembered. That's how bad the lie was back in 1990. And so in 2023, when I hear a similar claim in a similar part of the world and by a side that is trying to appeal again to the American people, I showed some skepticism yesterday. I'm saying it's not impossible. I don't think that, it's not that I was saying that, the Hamas guys are just too righteous to do such a thing. I don't necessarily think that. I think that the Hamas guys are pretty darn brutal, and they're gonna probably do whatever they think they need to do to get whatever their goals are done. But considering how many brutal videos and photos we've seen coming out of Israel, I would have expected something like this to be recorded and posted online, even if it was just a leaked photograph. Let's say that the Israeli government, didn't want to get accused of sensationalizing this by releasing the photo themselves. They could have easily leaked it to state media or to any other media. Any media, around the world would just love to get this picture. But we're not getting pics. In fact, we're not even getting an official investigation. Very strange. 40 babies were beheaded, we're told, in Israel, and they're not going to do an investigation. This is just going to be swept under the rug. How do they plan on prosecuting the Hamas terrorists who did this when they eventually catch them if they're not going to do an investigation? How are they even going to figure out who did it within Hamas if they don't do an investigation? They're just going to let these guys get away with it? Is that what we're supposed to believe? Or is it that this actually didn't happen and they kind of want to just sweep that part of it under the rug so people stop asking questions? I'll be linking to an article in the description from Business Insider. And I don't normally see a ton of great journalism from Business Insider, but I applaud them for getting a comment from the IDF, asking them, hey, are you going to investigate this claim? Because this is a very serious claim. And it needs to be investigated, and these families need to get justice if this happened to them. And the IDF's response was, no, we could never look into this because, you see, that would just be opening up the wounds, and that would be, that'd be re-victimizing the victims, and that's, it's disrespectful. Okay? So it's now disrespectful to investigate a murder. I guess every time someone is murdered in any country, we just shouldn't do an investigation. We shouldn't try and find the killer because, you see, the family, they've gone through enough. They shouldn't have to deal with that. Questioning, trying to see, hey, was there anyone who might want to harm, your loved one who was murdered? Can you help us try and find the person? None of that. Testifying against them, in trial, none of that. No trial, no execution. Just, hey, let's get some media points off of this. That's all their lives are worth. Does that sound accurate to you? Does that sound like something that would happen in reality if 40 babies were beheaded? I think not. It almost makes me think, call me a conspiracy theorist, that this claim is not true. That they're not doing an investigation because there's nothing to investigate. That they're not doing an investigation because they know if they did investigate, they would find, oh wait, this didn't happen. And I hope, sincerely, that it did not happen, because there was enough terrible things that have gone on this past week. I would like to think that that is one thing that didn't go on. But I'm not just plugging my ears and pretending like it didn't happen because of that. If it did happen, I would want to know. I would want a little thing that they call the truth. Now, interestingly, we have the IDF saying, we're not going to investigate this because, it's, they're saying, well, the testimony of the one soldier who said he saw this, that should be enough. It's like, okay, well, wait, what happened to the bodies then? It shouldn't just be one soldier says he saw this. There should be, teams and teams of CSI or somebody, other cops, police who came to, at least clean up the mess. Like, what, are the families just going to be left to deal with cleaning up their dead babies? That doesn't make sense. This is something the authorities should handle, and they should, get a record of who this was, who was killed, the manner of death. They should investigate to find the killer. There should be funerals. All of these things. There should be, funeral directors who, sure, they're not going to have I'm not familiar with, like, Jewish funeral procedures, so I'm not going to talk about how it would be handled. But assuming they put these babies into coffins or cremate them or something, there's going to be people who see these decapitated bodies who should be able to verify this. And they're saying, well, no, one man's word is enough. We're going to take all of this, we're going to just go one person's word? I could not be more incredulous. And I don't come to this as someone who is biased against Israel. My entire life, I was taught and heard the lesson that, the Israel's the good guys. And still in my heart of hearts, if I had to, if you put a gun to my head and I was told, hey, one of these two groups is not going to exist anymore. One of them is going to win, and they're going to have 100% total control over the entire territory of Israel. Should it be the Jews or the Palestinians? I would, if you put a gun to my head, I would say the Jews. But that doesn't mean that they are angels. It doesn't mean that they haven't done terrible things. It doesn't mean that they won't do terrible things in the future. It doesn't mean that they're beyond reproach and would never lie. We all know Netanyahu would never lie. Even though right now, our so-called official confirmation that we're hearing about on Twitter, this is what, the very serious open source intelligence folks, the people who are hunting for the truth on Twitter, the truth of whatever's going on in the world at the time, who completely exposed themselves as hacks during the Ukraine war, absolutely lapping up every last story of agitprop, real or imagined, accusing anyone who would question the agitprop of malinformation. Anyway, speaking of Netanyahu, as I think I said, his spokesperson came out and is saying, okay, this is true. So we didn't get a confirmation like so much from the IDF in terms of, hey, we investigated this, here's what happened, here's the details. We're being told, trust me, bro, that's what we got from the IDF. And Netanyahu's office is saying, we confirm, yes, this happened. And so all these guys are running with it and saying, oh, look, official confirmation from Israel. This happened. It's like, well, would you expect that Netanyahu would deny it if this was agitprop? No, it would be, that would be coming from his office, the agitprop. That's how things work in a war. Here's the thing. I think I said this yesterday, maybe. Hamas did enough bad things this weekend. It's easy enough to make the argument that these are bad guys. That's not to say that the Israeli side are angels, as I said before. That's a completely separate issue. You can judge these people individually, or judge the sides individually, I guess. And I've come to the conclusion a long time ago. I don't think that there are angels in this, or at least there's not an angelic group amongst these two. But anyway, I think invading, crossing the fence, and then kidnapping a bunch of people to use them as hostages to try and negotiate back. Even, context aside, that's not a good thing. That's not a good act. That is an evil act. And so you don't have to make things up. You don't have to waste time of people talking about how you made up evil acts by Hamas. You can just run with the truth. You can run with what's on video. You can run with what's verifiable. You can run with, they grabbed as many people as they could, and the people who they couldn't take with them, they shot and killed. That's good enough. Checkmate, they're the baddies in this case. And then, the Hamas defenders can say, well, it's context. Think of all the terrible things that Israel's done in the past, which people always ignore, which is true. These people, they hate Israel for a reason, and Israel hates them for a reason. They cannot coexist. And if you're born into either side, I completely understand why you would hate the other and why you would want them to be the ones who are dead, because it's either you or them. There is no win-win scenario here. It is 100% a zero-sum game. It is destined to be that. I've not seen any possible scenario which doesn't result in one side winning and the other side losing, except for what we have right now, which is the status quo, which is just perpetual violence. So the situation sucks, but the truth matters. And for now, I'm going to operate under the assumption that this is not true, because of the response that we're seeing here. So with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.